Thank you. Good morning, everyone. A peaceful day to all of you from any part of the world that you are right now. We're going to start our webinar. We'd just like to kindly request to turn off your mic if you're not speaking. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, thank you everyone for registering in our event today. Welcome to the Climate Justice, a real path to peace in the 21st century. And thank you for waiting for us to start in this event. And before we start this event, let us watch the short video.
Aloha, Hafa everybody. My name is Nake Flores, and I'm a member of Pertehila Teklan Savertidian and Independent Guahan, and I live in Guam. And last week, when we heard about this recent contamination, the spill of 1,300 gallons of AFF, it was with a great sense of urgency that we felt the need to actually come here to stand in solidarity. And so we are tremendously humbled to be here with all of you today, to stand in solidarity with all of you. We have this banner here. It says, Lena'la Ihanam, water is life in Chamorro. And this is a miniature version of the giant banner we held at our Red Hill Solidarity event a year ago. 1 year ago, at home, we had a solidarity event for Red Hill, and we couldn't bring that banner. So my friend Joey Certeza made this just the day before we left. Right now, our group is involved in a similar fight. We have a sole source aquifer that is extremely vulnerable to military contamination. A firing range being constructed where they will fire off 7 million ammunitions a year right over our aquifer. Just a couple years ago, we had a jet fuel spill which destroyed 500 tons of soil. This is horrible destruction that will impact many, many generations from now. Right now, our group is fighting open burning and open detonation, again, on ancestral land. We are all sick and tired. Who are they keeping safe? Who are they keeping safe? Nobody. We have a common enemy. This hazardous waste, we didn't put it here. The military put it here. The colonizer put it here. It's time to demilitarize the Pacific, decolonize Oceania, and we are stronger together. We are stronger as a Pacific family. Thank you all so much, Sainamasi. I send so much Kunaiza, Bula Kunaiza from Guam to every single one of you. Sainamasi, everybody.
And thank you for watching the video. It's just one of the things that's happening in Asia Pacific that's being affected by the climate change and also by militarization. So this is just to show you like some of the things that's happening in our region in Asia Pacific. And also to give you further context for today, we will have speakers from Pakistan, India, and Jordan to give us more context on the of the nexus of peace and climate justice. So again, welcome again to Global Week of Action for Peace and Climate Justice that's happening this week. And for today's webinar, we're talking about climate justice, a real path to peace in the 21st century. And to give us the welcoming remarks, I'll give you to our co-organizer of today's event, Ms. Krishma Raju from Eco Peace Team Cafe. Krishma?
Thanks, Michelle, and welcome everyone. And thank you for joining today's webinar, Climate Justice, a Real Path to Peace in the 21st Century. So we are thrilled to have such a diverse group of participants from around the world as we come together to explore the intersection of climate change and peace building in our time. As we face the growing impacts of climate change, like displacement, resource scarcity, and increased conflict, it is essential to recognize that climate justice is not just an environmental issue, but a humanitarian and peace issue. So we really need to work hard and also try to understand like how this connection works and why we really need to invest in climate justice. So today we have a distinguished panelist. They will guide us through these critical connections and offering insights on how we can advocate for a just transition, ensure equity in global climate policies, and create a future where peace and sustainability go hand in hand. This webinar is organized by the International Peace Bureau, Eco Peace Team Cafe, and the Sustainable Peace and Development Organization. They are based in Pakistan, and we are honored to have our panelists with us today, each of whom brings a wealth of experience in climate advocacy, peace building, and grassroots action. We hope this discussion inspires meaningful action and deepens our collective understanding of how climate justice can pave the way towards a more peaceful and equitable future. So let's work together and let's share our voice more louder and louder. So this is the right time to share the voice. So every time I always share with young people that we are the real hope and we are sharing the hope with all the generations. So we need everyone in this action for peace and climate justice. So thank you for joining and let's begin this session and let's learn together. So over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Gershma. And for our first speaker today, we will have Mr. Rasa Shakan, the Chief Executive of SPATO, and he will give us the overview of the nexus of militarism, environment, and youth and grassroots movement, just to give us the overview of what we are discussing today. And to let you know that Rasa Khan brings over 20 years of experience in both grassroots and policy level projects and programs. So throughout his career, he has designed, led, and managed a variety of initiatives focused on peace building, arms control, governance, youth empowerment, and research and development, and partnership with various international and multilateral donors. So as I mentioned before, he's currently the chief executive of SPADA in Pakistan, and he's also a board member of IPP. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our esteemed speaker for the day, Mr. Reza Khan. Reza, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's such a pleasure to co-host this event in collaboration with EcoPeace and the International Peace Bureau. And specifically, since both India and Pakistan, they both have been experiences this issue of climate change. So I once again thanks Michelle, you and IPB for coordinating this event. So my brief presentation will be a bit focused on letting you know about South Asia, how this climate change is important in the context of South Asia, and then more importantly, uh, how the communities are being suffering because of these devastating floods, conflicts, and violence. And then since we have one of our youth colleagues, Mr. Waqar, who will be also speaking in this panel, so he will then a bit more explain about how we are engaging youth and local communities to address these issues specifically through youth engagement programs. Since majority of the people would not be that much aware of like the importance of climate change and where like Pakistan stands, so just to let you know is that this South Asia region in the world has a very unique geography. If you look at the map of the world, uh, Pakistan have one of the tallest peaks in the world. Like after Mount Everest, we have the K2. And then apart from K2, there are 5 tallest peaks, which are of like more than 25,000 feet high. So we have the largest glacier mass in the world. And in between that, there are this huge Himalaya region, uh, Karakoram mountain region, and then we have the Hindu Kush mountain region. So all these three world largest mountain regions also meet in Pakistan, in the northern area of Pakistan. Uh, so that is a very unique geography, and you can understand that what will happen if this glacier melting has already started, and if we are unable to stop this global warming, and if this glacier melts continuously. So I will a bit explain to you that what is happening now and what unfortunately we are expecting in future. So when you come down from that north side, I hope some of the participants would be aware, but just to give you some a bit of more detail is that we have then the largest this Indian plains, we call it the Punjab Indian plains, where these whole lands are very famous for agriculture. These are very fertile lands, both India and Pakistan. So once these glacier melting starts, and then so we face flash floods. And when it comes to the like the plain lands, then the water level rises with the passage of time, and then it destroys the whole agriculture system and even infrastructure, very badly affecting the agriculture sector. So in the mountain regions, we have the flash floods, and then in the plain lands, again, the agriculture and these socioeconomic conditions of the poor people have been significantly impacted. Uh, in between that, like as uh, uh, this whole topic is surrounding around militarization and conflicts and its impacts on environment. So I would just like tell you, and you have seen that also in the beginning of the video, that military activities lead to large-scale environmental damage, including deforestation and pollution. And then if we look at the military machinery and operations, so that also significantly contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. And the conflict zones suffer long-term ecological harm, making even the lands uninhabitable. So we have explained a bit like how this region looks like, and when this militancy and conflicts occur there. So there is a very big vegetation, forest cover. So deforestations take place, and as I have already mentioned, that because of the extensive use of like military equipments such as fossil fuels, the use of vehicle, and the use of weaponry, not only in this region, but if you look at our border with Afghanistan, so we have this conflict going on for the last almost 40 years. So you can just imagine that how badly the conflict in Afghanistan and then the internal conflicts inside Pakistan have contributed to deforestation, the pollution of water, and how much it has disturbed the overall socio-economic conditions of the local people. So in between that, I have to mention the flood situation which occurred in Pakistan. We have been badly affected by floods in 2010, and then there were very severe floods that occurred in 2022. So I will just give you some of the figures of the floods of 2022. That 33 million people were very badly affected because of the floods in 2022. And rough estimates said that in the 2022 flood, there were around 2,000 people who lost their lives. And the United Nations actually estimated the damage at around $30 billion damages occurred because of the floods that happened in 2022. Uh, During that floods, around 22,000 schools were destroyed. And as I have already mentioned, that once the flash floods comes from the upper terrains, so they are on so high speed that they destroy the whole infrastructure. Even we have some very fertile land and orchards, the where like the whole community's socioeconomic conditions are based on those like fruits, vegetables, which are one of the best apples, apple orchards. There are peaches. There are so many variety of fruits orchards. So our one of our colleague who is sitting here is specifically from that area, Mr. Wakar, who is our youth activist. So he can a bit explain that what happens to those orchards and agricultural lands. But just to tell you that once even that flash flood destroys those orchards, and the infrastructure. So when it comes down to the provinces of Balochistan and Sindh, so there we have this cotton producers, sugarcane industry. Then we have large amount of land have been cultivated with wheat crops. So rough estimate said that around 80 to 90% of the crops in the lower provinces of Sindh and Punjab were almost destroyed because of the floods of 2022. So my point is that this is just a brief introduction of what is happening to the agriculture and to the livelihoods. But just to tell you that despite contributing less than 1% to global emissions, Pakistan ranks among the top 10 most vulnerable countries due to climate change. So if you look at the contribution, it is even less than 1%. But if you look at the sufferings and the damages, you could see that it is one of the 10 most vulnerable countries. I can also give you an example of the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres mentioned when he was talking to the United Nations General Assembly last year in September. So he said that he said that Pakistan contributes less than 1% of greenhouse emissions, but its people are over 15 times more likely to die from climate-related disasters. So this is what the United Nations Secretary General has said about uh, the situation here in Pakistan. And then if we look broadly into the region, uh, as I have mentioned that India itself is a very big country and majority of its population is dependent on agriculture, and same with Pakistan. So both India and Pakistan have a treaty that is called the Indus Water Treaty. So it's a very historical treaty that was signed between the two countries in 1960 between India and Pakistan because India and Pakistan, they became separated in 1947 as two independent states. But we were sharing the common river systems and the catchment areas. And that treaty was actually facilitated by the World Bank, and ultimately the treaty was signed in 1960. The treaty actually gave control of the eastern river, which is the Bias and Ravi. They are two rivers. So the treaty actually gained control of the eastern rivers to India, and then the western rivers, which are Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab. These three rivers were allocated to Pakistan. And then a permanent body was established, which is called the Permanent Indus Commission, to oversee the treaty implementation and address any disputes. So we have that treaty in place, but as I have already mentioned, that despite the treaty in place, the climate change is affecting rainfall and glacier melt in the Himalayas, impacting river water flow and availability for both countries in a very negative way. And now, like the floods and droughts, complicities, and water management strategies highlighting existing tensions over water resources have also increased. So there is always like a tension going on because both Indian agriculture economy and Pakistan economy, they're based on like these rivers. So there is always like a kind of tension going on between the two countries. And that is coupled with the rising populations and increased agricultural demands. So they are having water scarcity and between both India and Pakistan, leading to growing competitions for limited water resources and straining bilateral relations. Uh, so, and then there is like same is happening with Pakistan and India, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Like there are some rivers that originates from Pakistan, and then it goes to Afghanistan, and then it comes again to Pakistan. So it's a very complex river system between India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, and we don't have any kind of treaty with Afghanistan. So there is always mismanagement of water resources, and there is a greater need of cooperation between different states. And that's why since eco-peace is also, I was looking at the work of eco-peace, so we would really look forward to benefit from the experiences of eco-peace, that how they are engaging climate experts, civil society, and other organizations in the region to build trust and cooperation. So, in short, since I have just 10 minutes, so I have to conclude it, is that uh, the local communities are suffering a lot. As I have mentioned, agriculture has been suffering. We have a lot of now issues of food insecurity. And then there are these treaties in place between India and Pakistan. And as I have mentioned that we don't have any kind of treaty between India and Afghanistan. So there is an urgent need of constructive dialogue and cooperation between the two countries, where civil society organization could contribute to those dialogues to build trust and mutual cooperation. And more importantly, as I have mentioned that Sustainable Peace and Development Organization, SPEDO, we are actively engaging local communities and youth in those areas which are heavily affected by conflicts and by climate change. So our programs are specifically focused on youth-led climate action. So we engage local communities, we engage youth to take lead role in mitigating the negative impacts of climate change. And on that, like our youth panelist, Waqar, will a bit explain about that. So that's why I'm not that much talking about our activities. So we need to engage local communities, specifically youth, to take the lead role and to have a kind of constructive engagement of local communities so that their voices are heard at the policy level. And I would be happy to answer any questions if participants have, and looking forward to a fruitful discussion. Thank you, Mission. Over to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rasa, for that very elaborative, for painting us the picture on how this conflict, environment, and peace all related with each other. And you give us a concrete picture of it. And also like to further give us to contextualize it, like what's happening on the ground. We can see in another region as well here, coming next to as a next speaker. We will have Zayed. So Zayed is from Eco Peace Middle East. So Zayed is a seasoned professional with a robust background in managing and coordinating environmental programs and entrepreneurship projects. So his journey revolves around the commitment to environmental sustainability, climate change mitigation, and contributing to sustainable development. And currently he serves as a program officer at EcoPeace Middle East. So Zayed, to give us the picture and also very interesting topic on the community level about the Jordan River. That's been billions of people worldwide is benefiting. However, it's been treated as the dump site right now that's happening. So to give us more concrete pictures of the regional water security, conflict and peace at the Jordan Valley overview. Zayed, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm going to be talking about the climate justice and water security and scarcity, and give a bit of an overview about the Jordan Valley. So to start, I'm going to ask myself, what is climate justice? So basically, climate justice is about ensuring that the people who are least responsible of climate change are not the ones who suffer the most from its effect. In the Jordan Valley, some communities, for example, Jordanians and mostly Palestinians, are already experiencing the worst effects of climate change and water shortage. We are the most water scarce country in the world, and also the most water scarce region in the world. Even though our contribute are very little in the global crisis, climate crisis, we're suffering the most. And on the other hand, we're facing water injustice. It's not only in Jordan Valley, it's all around the world, but mainly in the Jordan Valley, access water is unequal. Some communities often have restricted access to clean water, while neighboring communities have more source of water supplies. This, in, this inequality means that some communities cannot use water for basic needs like drinking, farming, cleaning, etc., which which deepens and affects the social and economical gap and expand it, which the effect of climate change and water crisis led to less waterfalls, rains drops, water shortage, uh, filling rivers, filling aquifers. This put already vulnerable population into more danger, and danger means conflict. Climate justice demands that we recognize and we address the fact that we communities are more affected by water security and should have equal access to those resources. So water is a basic human need and it's a basic human right. No community should ever all around the world be taken out of the equation due to any political boundaries and any conflicts, especially in the Jordan Valley. International law supports the idea that all people deserves access to safe water, no matter where they live or what the political situation they are in. And what I'm thinking to solve and to at least give some hope, to at least look to this from the other hand, and to solve these issues through climate justice and ensuring climate justice, we need a few things. First, we need fair and equal policies. This is so very important that our leaderships, our decision makers in the region recognize and ensure that policies ensure equality and fairness to everyone. Second thing, we need to direct the resources and the military spending, weaponizing, and conflict toward investments in water security, sustainable development. We need to open line of dialogues instead of spending and weaponizing military spending. We need to look to opening dialogues, cooperation, contribution, and focusing on the whole region. We need not to only focusing on ourselves. If I'm a country and I don't want to focus on my needs, I need to focus on all the region needs. Third point is insist of completing over resources. Countries in the Jordan Valley should focus on cooperating to make sure everyone has access to water. And this helps reduce the risk. We need to focus on each other. We need to divide resources. We need to cooperate to generate new resources and new technologies and new investment to ensure that all of us receive our needs. And it's also an important the role of youth and activists. Young people like me, like some of us, we are an important asset. We play a huge role in pushing for climate justice, advocating for changes, speaking up, because our voice is loud. We can speak up. We are the most who suffers from the climate change. We need to speak up because by our forces, by our power and energy, we can achieve climate justice and hopefully peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Sayed, for also giving us the picture on what's happening on the Jordan Valley, and also giving us the definition of climate justice based on your personal perspective. I could not advocate more as well for sustainable development and more regional dialogues that we should be happening instead of investing into weapons that just cause more damage to the environment and also to the people and civilians living into that zones as well. And also to give us now we will have another youth speaker that's coming us today that will share his personal experience on advocating for um, the the for peace and for the climate justice in Pakistan. We will have Mr. Malik. Mr. Malik Wakar. So Mr. Malik Wakar is an environmental engineer and YouTuber from Swat Valley, northern Pakistan. He's a youth volunteer of SPADO. So he also grew up as a refugee and losing his home and businesses to the devastating floods of the 2010 and 2022. So he himself has been affected and currently rebuilding himself and to the community. So through his work, with Spado, Wakar has led climate change awareness campaigns, established schools for young boys and girls in remote areas through his NGO, Takwin, which help women to create opportunities to earn from home, fostering resilience and empowerment. So through his efforts that been recognized by several organizations, their work was also featured in National Geographic. So without further ado, and I cannot wait to hear more about your experience, Mr. Wakar, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I just want to say if my voice is, you guys are not hearing my voice, let me know, okay, in the middle. I'm scared about the internet connection here because it's not that fast over here. So my name is Waqar, everyone. Nice to meet you all. And I'm an engineer and a YouTuber with more than 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which I will talk about later. I'm a volunteer of Spedo Youth, which has trained us effectively in our area for the past few years. Now, I see a lot of people talked about very brilliantly about the larger issues of the world and the countries. I would talk about my personal issues because as the youth present here, I have been affected throughout my whole life. And I think today's event is very much attached to my whole life, if you think about it. Now, when I was a kid, uh, there was terrorism in our area. If you don't know where I'm from, it's called Sawat in Pakistan, which is north of Pakistan. And if you are confused which conflict I'm talking about, it's actually the same conflict of Malala Yousafzai. I'm sure everyone knows her name, and her house is right behind my house right here. So we kind of grew up together as well. So it was the same conflict in which there was a lot of terrorism. I think you guys have heard about it all over the news. And because of that, we were all affected. Our businesses were shut and houses destroyed, many houses. And we had to leave our house and we went to another city to live there as refugees for a year or two. And it's very hard, to grow up as as a refugee. It's different as a grown up to suffer from terrorism and everything. But as a kid, being a refugee has different effects. I would like to expand on that in some other day because I don't have enough time. Now, after the climate crisis that we had, the terrorism crisis that we had, everything was fixed in 2010, and then we came back to our cities. But in the same year, 2010, we had one of the largest floods ever recorded in Pakistan. And we have old people in our city, and they tell us that even from our grandfathers, we've never heard of a flood that has come in this year, which means for hundreds of years, nobody saw floods like those that happened in 2010. And all of a sudden, there was a flood. But what happened was we lost our houses again after terrorism. Again, climate change destroyed our houses, our businesses, and yeah, we everyone became a refugee once again, but this time for different reasons. Uh, Even after the climate crisis, what should have happened is that the government allocates its funds towards the climate change because they knew more than the people. But still, all of the funding was always going towards the war efforts and to terrorism and everything, but never serious funding never came for the climate change action on the climate change crisis. Now, after the first floods in 2010, everyone was like, okay, these things happen. Maybe this is one flood. In 100 years, this is one flood. It doesn't matter. Everyone went back, including us, build our homes, build our businesses back. And within 10 years, again, a bigger flood. 2002, we had a bigger flood, which was twice as big, some say, from the 2010 flood. Now, for hundreds of years, nobody saw one flood. And within 10 years, we saw two of the biggest floods ever in the whole history, which was which is weird because now everyone in our area was curious about why is this happening again and again. We need to know about why is all of this happening in our area. This is where Spedo came in and started training the youth, especially of this area, so that they can go homes and guide other people as well. Spedo conducted many training areas here. I would like to show some pictures as well. I have. Oh wait, I'll just share my screen. You guys can hear me, right? I'm not just talking to.
Yep, we can hear you very well. Yeah.
It's very quiet. I see no one in the camera, so I was scared. I was like, "Am I talking to no one?" Okay.
Yeah, we're here.
So, okay. So this is Sawab, Pakistan, which is known as the Switzerland of the East because of its beauty. And you can see the pictures, how beautiful these places are. And it's the center of tourism of Pakistan as well. These are the things that happened in the terrorism. There was a lot of terrorism because of which we became refugees. The second picture, if you look closely, is actually the school of my sister, which was blown. And
I'm sorry.
we are very lucky that.
Excuse me, we cannot
Yes?
see the pictures. Michelle, can you see the pictures?
Not from an. Could you try to share it again, Wakar, on the screen?
Yeah. Maybe if it helps, you can try to turn off the video while sharing the pictures if the internet is too weak for both.
Okay, I'll try. Can you guys see the pictures now?
Not yet. We given you a share screen access. So if you share your screen, you are able to share some screen by now.
Okay, is it working now?
Still no.
Okay, it's fine. Let's leave it. I don't know what's the problem here, but I think we should come back to the video.
Or you can
I would like.
Sorry, you can also say that you can also send here in the chat. You can send a picture here in the chat as well.
Sure. I'll try to do it within the way because I have to cover a lot of stuff. Okay.
No.
So what I was saying was there was a picture there that I would love to share with all of you. It was my sister's school actually, and it's just some blessing that my sister didn't go to the school that day. and the whole school was blown. Now, after that, the refugee crisis, there was a climate crisis, and then we had another flood, which I also have pictures I will share with you guys. Okay. Now, after the second floods, what I want to talk about is there was a change, a sudden change in the attitudes of people, because after 2010 floods, we went to the people to conduct a survey and to the most remotest of places, and we asked them, why do you think this happened? Why did the floods come in the first place? And they said, and they were like, yeah, maybe it was some conspiracy, someone else did it. And after the second floods, everyone was curious more that why is this happening? How can we stop this from happening again? So Spedo trainings came in, which I will share with you later as well. We Spedo trained the youth in a way which is very modern, how to train the youth in a modern way, in which we used social media and also campaigns in different schools, and some cleanliness works. Like we went with groups and started cleaning the areas and everything. And also we did a campaign against deforestation, in which we trained the locals to know when other people are coming and destroying their forests. And that is one of the reasons why their houses are destroyed in the coming years. Now, uh, the hurdles we faced during that was, how do you, because we're talking about people here who are in the most remotest of places, and climate change is an issue which even the most educated people don't really understand what's going on. Now, how do you train the people with the and to make them understand, because these people have no education, nothing? How do you train these people? So we came up with interesting plans on how to uh, teach, educate these people. One of them was, I would just like to do an experiment here with all of you as well. Uh, let's take Pakistan's example. Now, I want all of you to imagine the world map in your mind. I had a picture, but it doesn't work. So imagine the world map in your mind, right? And all of the countries in it, right? Now, substitute all those countries with people. Do you get what I'm saying? People, put one guy on each country. Okay, now. And as you can see, some people will be fat, some people will be short, some people will be tall, because every country has a different geographical situation. I would love to do it with a video explanation someday later, because this is a really nice experiment. What we found was Pakistan will be the tallest country if we do this experiment. In all the country, in all the countries where there are people, the tallest guy in all those countries will be Pakistan. Now, why is that? Because Pakistan is in a weird situation. Pakistan starts with Karachi, which is the sea level. It's touched to the oceans, which is the sea level, and it goes straight up towards K2, which is the second biggest mountain in the world. So Pakistan is a country which goes from the sea level to the highest mountain. And the whole country is not a flat country. The whole country is a slope, is a very steep slope. Now, once you get this image from childhood, we were told by our teachers that we have 12 weathers here in Pakistan, which was a very good thing to have. But now it was all because of this slope, because Pakistan is just a huge slope. Now, what happens is, at the end of the slope, from Karachi to our area, we have glaciers, because we have five, as Raza sir said, we have five of the biggest mountains in the world. So the glaciers are at the top, and the sea. So when the global warming rises, these glaciers start melting, and all the water, with the most speed in the whole world, because this is like this, hits the people. Now, unfortunately, I and my village are the first people right there who get hit with these glaciers. And for from again and again, for twice this time, we have been hurt. Our businesses. I still remember the night where we were all sleeping, and at 4 a.m. in the morning, the village above us started screaming that there's a huge flood coming your way. And we were all scared. And we were all scared to leave our houses. And we were all scared to leave our houses.
I think he's also.
Yeah, I think he is again, I think in that area, so that's why,
Oh,
yeah, there might be some issue.
Wakar, are
Did I get
you?
cut
Okay,
off?
you're back. Yeah, we're sorry. Yeah, but you're back.
So using Spado's brilliant techniques, we started teaching people with interactive sessions on how to go about and learn about climate change. And I told you about all of these things. Can I share the screen around? Try to share the screen now.
Yes, please. Yes. Just make sure share, click the share, and then the screen that you wanted to
Okay.
share.
Okay, can you see it?
Um, not yet. Again. Um, yeah, I could also send you my email address. If you could share it to me, then I could just flash it in the screen right
I
away.
love that because we have. I wanted to show some kids. We did a campaign, especially those kids in a school, which we run currently. It's for kids who have lost their houses in climate change, and those kids, we first taught them, educated them about climate change, and then we did a walk throughout the city, and
Mhm.
you can see the anger and the excitement inside these kids who are screaming that why have we lost our houses to this flood, and why have our parents lost their house before this, and why is this happening again and again. I would love to share that with all of you as well. And yeah, I think I've taken a lot of time. Sorry about that. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. Uh, thank you so much, Rakar. We will entertain all the questions after all the speakers
Okay, sure,
have been. Okay.
sure,
Yeah. Thank
sure.
you. And if you can send to me the picture via email, and then we can share it again during the Q&A, so we can have the beautiful picture of the one that you are showing as well, and also the your efforts for the community. Thank you so much. It's such a uh, as mentioned here, you give us a very good explanation, and it's also my first time to have like a concrete picture of like how Pakistan looks like and how it's being affected with the climate change. So I learned so much from your discussion, and thank you so much for all your doings and all your community works that you've been doing with SPADO and with your own organization as well. Could imagine your resiliency towards, and we're very honored to have you in this event. We will also have another speaker for today who gave us the video. Um, his name is Yuta Takashi. He is from Japan. He he was born in Hiroshima. So this is another, as you all know, with familiar with what happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So this one will Yuta will share with us his experience as a youth who lives in this era that happened like during what happened after the atomic bombing. So without further ado, let me just share my screen to hear and to see what Utah has shared to us and how important it is to continue the legacy and efforts for climate and peace efforts.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Yuta Takahashi from Association Katawara from Japan. Thank you for inviting me for a great event.
Sorry, let me just share it one more time. Okay, he's here now. Thank you.
And I appreciate with the IPV great team, Sean, Michelle, and Emily. Uh, I am working on the nuclear disarmament as a youth in Japan, and I was born and brought up in Hiroshima, the atomic bomb city. I want to change the starting point of the discussion of nuclear disarmament. The A bomb killed around 140,000 people in Hiroshima and 70,000 in Nagasaki, including Japanese, Koreans, Southeast Asian students, and soldiers from United States and Netherlands and other countries. Mr. Tsunao Tsuboi, one of the hibakusha, he was discriminated even by his relatives. Hibakusha will die soon. He tried to commit suicide with his wife. There are no cases of discrimination like this just because a single bond. Many of the A-bomb survivors suffered from health problems. Years after the bombing, there were also cases of irregularity in the menstrual cycle and decrease in the sperm count. The causal relationship has not been clarified in many cases. That is why it is said that atomic bomb survivors have weak bodies. Yeah, have weak bodies, and they have been unable to find regular employment, or even if they have become teachers, they have not been given the class to teach. I think this is a starting point of the discussion of discriminations, nuclear disarmament, I think. Around the world, nuclear tests happened over 2,000 times, 2,000 times, especially in Marshall Island, over 150 times over. The power of the Marshall Island test is equivalent to the power of the Hiroshima Type A bomb used every day for 20 years. Every day for 20 years. Today, many countries have plutonium as a nuclear fuel. Japan has 47,000 of plutonium, the most of any non-nuclear weapon states. It is said that Japan is a potential nuclear weapon state. Trying to eliminate nuclear weapons will contribute to reducing dependence on nuclear power. Contamination from nuclear testing is spreading around the world. In some areas, contaminated soil is being uh, eroded by raising sea level uh, caused by the nuclear crisis these days. In Japan, nuclear weapons were secretly introduced into Okinawa Prefecture and Yokosuka City in Kanagawa Prefecture, both of which were under US administration. On one occasion, an operational error caused a nuclear warhead to fall into the sea in Okinawa. A new base is currently under construction. Ignore the opposition of the local resistance. Nuclear weapons are very, very local issues, I think. Finally, I believe that the younger generation can propose solutions and appropriate the time frame. We are calling for a change in the decision-making system based on gender equality, nuclear justice, climate justice, and some various justice, I believe. Too many hibakusha in Hiroshima and Nagasaki say that no one should ever have to suffer as we have. They have expressed their desire for revenge and continue to engage in dialogue. I believe this is the responsibility of leaders to appeal to their policies and the responsibility of leaders to say that no one in the world will become a hibakusha. No one in the world will become a hibakusha. Uh, Let us demand this responsibility from our civil society. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Yuta, for that. As we all know what happened in Japan, and it still continued to affect now. And until now, they're trying to continue to promote efforts for still for their environment, for humanitarian support in Hiroshima and in Nagasaki. Currently, Yuta cannot join us because he's traveling back to Japan. He attended the UN Summit of the Future together with Emily and Sean, and with IPD as well back there in the UN. So we apologize that he cannot join us today, but he sent this message for all of us. And to wrap up this session, we will have the last speaker, and then we will go to the Q&A. For our last speaker, we will have Miss Greshma Raju, a very good friend of mine, and also she's also one of the organizer of this event. And Greshma, she is also a young peace builder from India, focused on interfaith dialogue and environmental peace building among youth. She has worked with various national and international organizations to promote youth engagement in peace initiatives and empower women in rural areas of the global south. So without further ado, I would like to welcome from Eco Peace Team Cafe, their founding director, Miss Gershma. Gershma, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. And I'm so happy to be here with you all and listening to you. And I, like in the beginning, I shared that, okay, I'm here to learn from you all. And yeah, exactly. Like I learned a lot from you and how you work in your community, and also like learning like how hard we all are working for our communities in our own regions. So thanks for all the work of Bakar, Said, and Rasa, like who all are joined from the most impacted area, like due to the climate change. So we all know like how much we are affected, and we are having the eco grief, like the sadness and climate anxiousness, everything is there. But over that, like we are trying hard to bring like more climate justice and more peace to our own regions. So once again, thank you. And for like when we started like planning this session, we in our mind, like we really need to bring the perspective of environmental peace building and how can we work more actively and ensure that we can have peace through climate justice. And it's a really a privilege to work with you all and coming to this platform and share about my work at Eco Peace Teen Cafe. Eco Peace Teen Cafe is an online dialogue platform we designed for teenagers, and it happened during the COVID time, like when the world was shut and people are staying inside. And I seen like I have seen like how the young people are struggling, especially the teenagers who were stuck at home and they were like really in hopelessness. So I started Eco Peace Teen Cafe to share the real hope with the especially the teenagers, that yes, we can do and we are in this together. So we designed program according to that, and we tried to bring facilitators from all over the world together, and they shared their experience with the young people, and that also give them like lots of inspiration to stay active and share their knowledge. Even they are young, I understood that how much they are active in their locality. Like even the 13-year-old boy was really concerned about his community, and he was sharing like what happened, like if the climate change or the floods affecting a poor family, like how they will live, and they lost their habitat, like how can they rebuild their house. So I have seen like even a child is really concerned about his neighborhoods and the families who are really affected through the climate change. So So we really engage with young people a lot, and we try to find out our own small solutions. And I always shared with young people that small actions are creating greater impact. So never think that we are alone or we are doing like small actions. So uh, just don't think that it's small. It can do a lot. Like even if like your small actions can speak a lot and loud. So though like I always share this message with the young people, like stay active and do the climate actions. Like even it's a small, please do it. And this is how we started the journey. And then we started engaging young people from Africa and Latin America. And we were like really learning like what's happening in different regions and how we can do more actions locally and how we can engage, like how we can start action from their own and then expand to their families and to their neighborhoods and bringing community together. So this is what we are trying to do through Ecopeace Garden. So this Earth Day, like we invited like our community members, our neighbors to my own home, and we started gathering them, and we started an Ecopeace Garden here. So we tried to bring the neighborhood together, and we shared the message of importance of planting trees and having small conversations and talk about climate change and bringing peace together. So the most smallest climate action, like having a garden, which like we try to bring people together to have like more conversation. This way we really try to connect our community more stronger and create more bondings among us. So this is like earlier my community members asked me like what's peace building and what you are doing. Like we are always seeing you staying at home with your laptop. What are you really doing? But this even helped me to communicate what I am doing with my community. So now they know like what is peace building and what is climate change, like how it affected us and how we can act. So I think it's important, like as peace builders, we normally talk like globally and including like engaging more global leaders, but it's equally important to communicate what we are doing with our own neighborhood. Like let them know like what peace building is and what environmental like peace building is. So they can also actively involve in the work and they can also support and they may get like inspired to be a next peace builder. Like so that's what we try to do through Ecopeace Gardens, and now we are working on Ecopeace Climate Diary. So we are trying to engage our elders, and normally like Ecopeace Teen Cafe, the word itself reflect like we are engaging teenagers, but now we are really looking at the elders. Like we are trying to document their journeys also to learn more from them. Uh, Especially like if we are talking about the climate justice programs or conference, we know we are going to have the COP29 in November. So it's COP29. That means we had like 28 COPs. So there are like many people involved in the climate governance programs or like lots of like initiatives already happened like 20 years ago. So we really need them. Like I listen, like I learn from lots of young people or youth movements that they sometimes criticize what others did earlier. So I'm trying to tell them like we need that learnings also. Like there are like lots of things happened earlier. So we need to understand what happened and we need to communicate, and we also really need to learn from the mistakes that happened earlier. And also we need to continue the good practices, and we also need to understand what we're missing, and we're trying to we really need to build a bridge to overcome that gaps. So when we build the youth movements, we also need our elders to like make it stronger and make our points more louder. And yeah, so let's learn from the history and create a new future for our generations to come. And let's have engaging youth dialogues where they can reflect on the past climate policies and social justice movements and learn from intergenerational wisdom. So learning, learning is just a part, but we need more action. We need new energy and innovative approaches, and we know like how AI help in this process. And so let's talk through the social media using all the innovation approaches to share our messages with our grassroots and build our communities more stronger together and do whatever we can, and also advocate for more climate policies and demand more climate justice, and especially for our global south and indigenous population and our future generation. So yeah, I don't want to take more time. We still have so many things in our session to do. So yeah, so the answer is lies in us. So let's bring all people together for a sustainable, livable planet. We need a strong and healthy planet for our children and for us, for all our communities. So let's do the work together. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And thanks, Michelle, and over to you.
Thank you, Gershma, for sharing that word. I will take off from the intergenerational approach and building up the learning from the past and building up a future, and then also building up the current present that we are living right now. So I will invite our participants to ask questions, and also invite all our speakers back in our online floor, online Zoom floor. If you have questions, just raise your hand so we can acknowledge you, or you can also write your questions in the chat box so we can easily see it. And thank you so much for our speakers today. I think we'll learn a lot from you directly on the ground on what's happening, and this is really happening, and what are the concrete actions that you can do. That's all very inspiring. And also I'd like to thank all the participants for introducing themselves. Actually, after the Q&A, we will have a speed dating where you have the opportunity to connect with other these activities as well. So we have a first question from Florina. Yes, Florina, you can open your mic and ask away.
Hello, my question is a very practical one. I thought it was a fantastic session, very inspiring. I'm just wondering whether there will be a transcript of the talks, because I couldn't really hear some of what, especially the first or the second speaker was saying, and I was wondering if it will be made available in text form.
Yeah. We will also have the recording of this webinar that we're going to post in IPB social media accounts and EcoP's social media accounts in Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So after this webinar, you can also rewatch it again. And also, if Zaya, do you have the transcript? Maybe we can send it to Florina later on. Yeah. Thanks, Florina, for that. Any questions?
Yeah.
Nicola.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon to all. And I'm Nicholas Lee from Liberia, West Africa. And today webinar, I'm so excited and I heard I'm so inspired by all of our teaching today. And then in Liberia here, we face a lot of problems that have to do with climate actions and the mismanagement of environmental areas and waste management are causing climate actions in our country, are causing a lot of communities to be flooded. Because in Liberia here, we have two major seasons. We have the dry season and we have the rainy season. And the rainy season, it takes 6 months, and the dry season takes 6 months. But since then, it started it has been so bad disaster. We have lost lives in most of our community because of the mismanagement of environment. And then we understand that the government has not yet taken any action, and it has been twice now, two major rainy seasons this year and that of 2023. And we haven't heard any campaign, any attention drawn by the government to come up with a lot of rules and regulate environmental management. And then we, as a youth, as a peace builder, because I am from the communities of peace building, alongside I think Bisman know me well. I'm so excited to be here today at the platform. And I've been volunteer at the Eco Peace Cafe, and then we both work together there here. So I'm so excited but I want to try and come up with a campaign. But my question is, I don't have funding, and I want to come up with a major campaign in Liberia to draw the attention of our community and the government and the stakeholders of our country. So I really want to seek on this platform. I actually seeking funding support to enable me to be able to come up with that campaign to draw the attention. So I am here appealing to this platform for connection to be able to support me in that campaign. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. As you can see, we have global audience that we are having right now. And thank you for your question. How could we make an effective campaign, local campaign to be heard? In like, for example, for Nicholas, who is kind of who's youth, who's working in the field. So how could they make their campaigns more effective and more effective to be heard and to be acted upon or get some support? Any from our speakers would like to take on that?
Maybe I can give a try. So not regarding like forming the campaign, but more on like how to share the messages of campaign and getting like more attraction. So I recently attended one of the like framing climate change, a training session. So they shared that normally like when we have these climate movements or campaigns, like mostly we heard that the negative comments, like no, like we try to form the narratives more like kind of negative, but instead of that we try to create like more positive narrative. Like okay, so for example, we normally say like, oh, it's climate change is happening and it's the reality and we need to take more action, and maybe like it maybe we can make it like more kind of positive narrative that yes, it happens, but we are together in this and we are trying to make it like we are trying to solve this bigger crisis. So like that, like how we frame is really important, and by trying to give the positive narrative, especially if we are engaging more young people who don't know about the climate change, like I'm not saying who don't know, but like who is not that much aware about the impact. So don't give the panic or like the initial the anxiousness, but share the positive side, like share the positive narratives, and yes, we can do it, we are trying to solve a big challenge. So like that, that's my contribution, and I'm looking forward to hear other responses.
Thank you, Gershma. And I think and I share with Wakar, Zayed, Rosa, based on your experience in your also communities. I think there are so many young people that are watching with us right now that could learn something from you on how to make their campaigns be more heard. Yeah, Wakar?
Sure. I think the question is very important. He asked about the funding, which is always the main problem in situations like these. But what I've come across in my, we are also have a huge problem of funding, but we solved one of those problems using modern techniques. I think in this day and age, the biggest weapon we have is social media, and we in our area have used social media so well. I'm not bragging or just saying that. We have reached millions of people using social media. And now it's monetized and we're getting income from there as well. And then we're using that to spread awareness as more and more as we can. So I think trying to generate more revenues, looking around, using modern techniques would really help. And I think personally, social media is going to help you really well. And spreading, especially in my case, we were trying to spread awareness, and the best way was social media, and try to use, better techniques. I would love to share one of our videos, which is about climate change in a very, it's kind of like Netflix documentary if you think about it. So that really attracts people. And yeah, if you do that, I think it will help you.
Thank you, Wakar. That's a very concrete example as well. I have seen your page. I have seen like some the YouTube page is amazing as well, and also you have so much interesting content there. So I think with the generation that we have right now, subscribes with more on their phones and their laptops. That's usually, I think, social media is also one of the platform. Do you have any suggestions as well, Zayed? For our since you're also building like policy dialogues with your work, do you have also like more on the policy level? How can they also like effectively impact on the policy based on your experience, if you just would like to take on it?
Okay. So I want to strengthen the idea that Waqar said. It's very important to use social media platforms because it's an important tool. Keep doing what you're doing, reach out to people, share on social media, tell stories. Storytelling, it's an important tool that we can use. Tell your story, speak up, use social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, TikTok. It's fine as long as you speak up. One day you will reach a place. This is a platform. What we're doing now, connecting people from South Asia, people from Middle East, people from the West, and engaging in this dialogue. It's an important. So it's my first time learning and getting to know what is happening in Pakistan. So this is really amazing. So keep doing what you're doing. One day you will reach a place. Uh, Participate in sharing uh, requests to the government, sharing what you really want. One day you will reach a place where you can involve in writing policy paper. One day you will write papers that can reach decision makers and will lead to an action. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
That's very beautiful, Zayed. Thank you so much. Rosa, do you want to add also some um, in, actions, like effective actions that our young people can also do to effectively advocate for their works on climate justice and peace?
Thank you. I would quickly just add, as our youth panelist has also explained that in a bit detail, is that my own experience of working with the youth is that youth has a huge potential. Uh, Specifically, if we talk about issues of like as our Grishma mentioned, like peace building, and importantly, climate change. And I have seen that, although yes, I agree that there is, yes, if you compare, peace building and funding to climate change with the military expenditures, it's like nothing. It's nothing. But still, since this climate change has become an issue of significant importance to the policymakers, they are like, if youth actually plan their activities in a more effective way, if they build their own capacities of how to develop networks of youth, like local youth networks, and if they have a bit of capacity of how to develop fundraising campaigns at the local level. So I'm of the view that there are greater chances that they can direct the attention of the policymakers and funders to specific issues. And I have also seen that in Pakistan is also, although Waqar has already mentioned that most of the funding is going to mostly to the government bodies, and then you know well how government expenditures takes place. But there are a lot of resources available on the internet. So if someone really want to see if there are some potential opportunities available for networking or funding, so I believe if they have that skills available, so they can find some very good funding opportunities also, and they can collaborate with organizations even at the local level. So to me, like youth could play a significant role of playing a leadership role. Since, as Grishma mentioned, that we have to create a new future. So, and this is all about our future generations. As what Spedo is doing is that like all our programs are are led by people like Waqar, like the whole program is called Pakistan Youth-Led Climate Initiative. So this is all youth-led. They develop social action projects. They develop community-based social action projects, and then they implement their projects at the community level. So that's all from my side.
That's really beautiful. Thank you, Rosa. I mean, we're learning from all of you. I just would like to ask one last, if there are some questions on the floor. Okay, seeing none, I would just like to invite all our speakers if for their last comments, last thoughts that they would like to share to our global audience that's also like tuned in within this webinar. So let's start with Gershma. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, as the last thought, we just need to work together. Yeah, as I mentioned, like I really want to highlight the intergenerational wisdom. We really need to have a communication with our own elders to see like how we can adopt that, and how we can like use those intergenerational knowledge in our daily life to bring back our environment, like mostly the environment conservation practices. So yeah, I just want to highlight in that, like how we can work together and more better way and make our planet more sustainable. Thanks, Michelle, for moderating this session.
Thank you, Gershma. Waqar, say it.
Yeah, I'll go. Okay. So I think for everyone listening, I think most of them are youth anyway. So I think the hardest thing is where to start. Where do you start in all these calamities around you? How do you start? What is the first step? And for my journey, I think it was getting connected to people like Raza and his organization, who guided us, and what it helped us in a way that we took those trainings and they really helped us to understand and how to fight back, not just lay down in panic. And just after a few months of trainings, there was the 2022 floods, in which, as I said, we were in our house and we had to run away. And it was such a tense situation. It was like one of those movies, like 2012 or something. And it was one of the toughest times. And what I did was I remembered those teachings and those guidance that I had in those trainings. So instead of just going with the flow in the flood and just running from one place to another, I picked up my phone. I started recording everything we were doing during those floods. And I just recorded everything. And I was there. I was the only one who had a good phone and a good way of trying to tell a story. And we started telling those stories. And one by one, easily in a week or two, we had millions of people watching our videos from Germany, from Korea, We even collected a lot of funding for our community. So it was all just an action of picking up the phone and not just sitting idly. That's how you can really start doing work. And even after that, now we are, I think we have 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube and millions others here and there. And we are spreading our wings across the world. Now, during the recent Palestine conflict, Palestine Israel, we made videos on that as well. Like, we have nothing to do with them, but we have an audience and we wanted to share our thoughts. And we got more than 40 million views across different platforms. And thanks to Raza, I went to Doha as well for one of the conferences. So I think, not to keep it short, get up, do it, and stay connected to people who are responsible, who are doing something, learn from them, and don't sit idly. That would be my
Wakar? Yes. Yeah, you're muted. Yeah, I think you're muted on the last part, your last sentence. Can you just repeat it?
Okay, the last sentence
Yeah,
was
yeah.
thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Wakar. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Zaya?
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Okay. First, thank you, Okar. That's really brave. For me, I want to leave you with a few sentences. I wanted to say something. What's connect us and what's common between us is way more and much more than what's divide us and what's differentiate us. So we're the same, we're facing similar things, we're affected from the climate change, all the issue that's around us, all the shared issues or the shared problem required shared solution and shared efforts. So we need to work together, we need to stand up, we need to open a dialogue and discuss issues to find solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sayed, for that very wonderful and very inspiring message. I cannot agree with that more. That we are here in an international movement, that we are all connected, and hopefully we can all support each other in this advocacy. And learning from our intergenerational approach, we'll have our last thoughts from Reza. But before give to the rest of the floor, we will have opportunity to connect with the participants today as well. We will have breakout rooms after the last speech of Reza, so we could learn more, as said by Wakar and Zayed and by Greshma. By working together, we can create more. So I'd like to create an opportunity for our participants today as well to connect with each other and learn from each other even in just few minutes. So Reza, and your last thoughts?
Okay, once again, thank you so much. It was indeed a pleasure listening to our colleagues in India, in Jordan, and their experiences that are also very much relevant to us. And this is something, which our other panelists have also emphasized on, that we have to learn from one another. It is not an issue which is specifically like confined to a region. If if one area is suffering, so the whole world will be suffering. So we are so interconnected now. We are so interdependent now that this is an issue of all of us. And since this basically session is specifically focused on like militarization and its impacts on climate change, so I believe we all are peace activists. We all are peace builders. And I personally believe that peace is the prerequisite for sustainable development or any development. Like, without peace, development is not possible. So if we talk about sustainable development, so we have to ensure peace. And what is peace? Peace is trust building, it's mutual cooperation, understanding each other as one human family. So like, this is just one example of this beautiful family of International Peace Bureau, that we all are sitting together representing different regions, irrespective of our faiths, of our nationalities, our ethnicities, but we have a common objective. So let's work together to create a more better place to live, and let's share our experiences, lesson learned, and as Grishma mentioned, to create a new future for our future generations. So thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to be part of the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause to all our speakers. Thank you, thank you. We learned a lot from all of you. It's very, very inspiring to hear from the local communities and how are really making change possible in your communities with all your resiliency and hard work. And of course, with our audience today, I think it's the chat is overflowing with their gratitude for you, for all of you, for sharing your experiences, and for sure, our participants as well have their own context that they are also dealing with their own communities. Hopefully, they can learn one or two from our speakers and bring that to their communities as